Hello, everybody. It's Richie with the 10 best albums from 1969. I've had this list ready for over 6 weeks. It's been delayed for various reasons, which I won't go into. I re-listened to a few of these this past week, and I jiggled the order around a little. 1 through 5 are set in stone. 6 through 10. I mean, if I did this a month from now, there might be a slight change, but these are the top 10. My number 10 is The Byrds, The Ballad of Easy Rider. This may be the 4th Byrds album that's made my top 10s since I've been doing them from 1965. This might be the last one that actually makes the top 10. I do like all the Byrds albums, but I think this may be the last one that actually qualifies as a top 10. I think it's great all the way through. It has one song that I think kind of lacks, or it's not up to the other on side 1, and there's one on side 2. On side 1, Oil in My Lamp, it's okay, but I don't think it's quite as good as the other songs. And it's all over now, Baby Blue. It kind of, I don't know, it just doesn't have the urgency that some of the other songs have. It starts off with Ballad of Easy Rider, a great song. Then Fido, which I think is an excellent song. Even has a 10-second drum solo in it. It ends with Jack Tar the Sailor, which is kind of a traditional sounding, but with psych stuff mixed in. And he's ended... Roger McGuinn has ended sides of albums like this before. Side 1 starts with Jesus Is Just Alright, a song that most people know, a song that the Doobie Brothers made famous. But two of my favorite songs on the album are on side 2, and it's Gunga Din and Deportee. 2 great songs. And it ends with Armstrong, Aldrin, and Collins, which is a tribute to the moon landing, and it's very well done. Better than that Learjet song that ended Fifth Dimension. But yeah, my number 10, The Byrds. My number 9 is Muddy Waters. Now, Muddy Waters did make my 68 list, and his follow-up makes my 69 list. The 68 album really was heavily... had a lot of psychedelic guitars in that. This one, not so much. It is in spots, but this is more of a straight up blues, although very heavily electric guitar. And Rollin' and Tumblin', that one song, the version of that one song on this is worth the price of admission. This is a great album, and I highly recommend this album. I didn't mention it. It's Muddy Waters, After the Rain. And a very cool album cover. And yeah, thanks. And it's autographed by Kathy Garner. Number 8, The Stooges' debut. Now, if I was making my favorite albums, this would be towards the top, but this is not favorite. This is what I would consider best, and there is a difference. And I bring that up because later in the 70s, if I continue doing this, I don't know if I'm going to be able to do my best, the best 10 best albums, because I purged a lot of my classic rock 70s, and I did purge quite a bit of the 80s, like Tears for Fears and that kind of stuff. So I don't know when it gets past 71 or so if I'm going to be able to continue calling them the best. I might change it to my 10 favorite. But anyways, let's get into this album. This album, it's a lot of the songs, they're just grooves. And I mean, this started off 1969. The guitar is patterned after a Byrds song, of all things, Tribal Gathering, which is on the notorious Byrd Brothers album, which made one of my top 10 lists. The guitar from 1969, I think it shows up at around the 1 minute mark in the song Tribal Gathering for like 10 seconds. But like at the minute and 30 second to the 2 minute, the last 30 or so seconds of the song, it's played throughout. And yeah, the guitar in 1969 is based on a Byrds song of all things. The beat, the drum is a Bo Diddley beat. And then the second song, I Want to Be Your Dog, is based on the opening of Voodoo Chili, the Hendrix song, or some people call it Voodoo Child. Now, they went into the studio, and I think they recorded 7 songs. And I don't know if it was the producer or the owner of the label. He said, this is not enough for an album. We're sorry, guys. And they said, well, we have lots of other songs, we can do. And he goes, okay, you have 1 week, And they went back home and they churned out 4 songs that made it onto here in a week. And you can kind of tell those songs, they're not quite as good as the other 5 that are on here, or other 4 that are on here. We Will Follow is one that they created that week. And it is a 10-minute song. And it's interesting, but it kind of drags. And Real Cool Time is one of the weaker songs on the We'll Have a Real Cool Time Together, and he just keeps going over and over. Not Right and Little Doll, the last 2 songs. Those are the 4 that they created. 1969, I Want to Be Your Dog, No Fun. Those songs were kept from that initial recording sessions. And then Anne was an old song. In fact, I think it was the Stooges' first song ever. And it was one that they had kind of stopped performing. It was kind of a slower love ballad almost, you would say. And what they did is they combined that with one of the jams that they had done in the recording sessions and combined those into the one song. But yeah, it's a great album. The Stooges had 3 proper albums, and all 3 of them are, I think, great. And it's my number 8 from 1969, which is nothing to sneeze at. Some people might have this as their number 1, and I don't know. But yeah, great album. My number 7, it's my favorite album by this band, studio album, and it's the Allman Brothers Band, their debut. Just a fantastic debut. And it has 4 songs on side 1 and 3 on side 2, but realistically, it's 3 songs on each side. The first song, Don't Wait, Don't Want You No More, is basically an instrumental intro to the song It's Not My Cross to Bear. But it's got the standouts are Trouble No More, the ending of side 1, and Whipping Post, the ending of side 2. Just, I guess you could say this is the start of Southern rock, but it is much more than just that. It did start a genre. And yeah, it's got Duane Allman, who tragically passed away a few years after, I think when he was 23. And the vocals of Greg Allman would have to be in my top 10 rock vocalist of all time. This is a blending of rock, blues, and gospel, and it's a fabulous album. My number 6 is Sly and the Family Stone, Stand. This is their first great album. 68 they came out with, was it I Want to Take You Higher? And it didn't make my top 10. It probably wouldn't even make my top 20. It's just not as good. Even the song I Want to Take You Higher, it's different than what they did, how they performed it at Woodstock. But anyway, this is the album that came out on the Woodstock year. And it's a uni-pack. Cool photos of the band and then baby pictures of them. There's Sly in the back. This album, it's got their standard type songs like Stand. Okay, now Stand, that song in itself is kind of like two songs. It has the beginning part, which is the majority of the song, Stand, and then the last 30 or 40 seconds, it gets into this really funky groove. And then it's got the second song, Don't Call Me Nigger, Whitey. Now this is the song that, oh, I wish they wouldn't have called it that, you know. Van Dolen would probably say that, you know. I wish they wouldn't have named it that. But, you know, it gets the point across. Don't call me nigger, Whitey. Don't call me Whitey nigger, you know. And if you can't handle it, oh, well, sorry. Somebody's Watching You is a great song. Sing a Simple Song, I believe, was a single off of this. This album really doesn't have a bad song. And then you got Everyday People. Now that they played on the radio a lot, so maybe that was the single. And then you got Sex Machine, the longest song, almost 14 minutes long. It's an instrumental. It's not a great instrumental, but it is interesting. And the way it ends is pretty cool. I mean, let's just say it ends with a drum solo. And then You Can Make It If You Try, one of my favorites off the album. But yeah, my number 6, Sly and the Family Stone, Stand. Very influential band. They brought the funk into to the forefront. Sly did with the bass, that funk bass. And yeah, this band influenced James Brown to Miles Davis, you know. My number 5 probably tops a lot of people's. It's the Rolling Stones' Let It Bleed. It's a bit of a hodgepodge of an album. I mean, it's got songs dating back when Brian Jones was still in the band. It's got the introduction of Mick Taylor on songs. And it's got some of their best songs ever. But it does have some clunkers. It's got Country Honk, which it's unfortunate they didn't put Honky Tonk Woman on here. But at that time, they didn't put singles on their albums, you know. But yeah, it's got great songs. It's got Let It Bleed. Their Love in Vain, I think, is a great song. Midnight Rambler, Gimme Shelter. You Got the Silver is the first song, I believe, where Keith Richards sings vocals. And it's one of my favorites on the album. You Can't Always Get What You Want, I think, is a great way to end the album. Live With Me, I think, is fantastic. Monkey Man is one of their best rockin' album songs ever. And then Country Honk is kind of a clunker. But yeah, it's a good album. I would say the weakest song is Country Honk. And then after that, probably Love in Vain. But it's a great album. I mean, it's my number 5, you know. Number 4. The fourth best album from 1969 is Led Zeppelin's debut. Now, this album was a game changer. When you put side 1 on and you hear those first 2 notes, dun dun, that was a game changer right there. And then with the hi-hat, just a great album. It's a little bit bluesier than some of their later albums. And yeah, it's great. It's got Dazed and Confused on it, which was a song left over from the Yardbirds. That the Yardbirds, they did record, but they never released. And yeah, Communication Breakdown. Just a really good, fast song. And yeah, I really dig this album, man. Led Zeppelin, they had a hand in changing the direction of rock and roll music. Number 3 is another album which some people will probably have as their number 1, and it's the Beatles' Abbey Road. It's their last recorded album, though Let It Be, the Turd, came out after this, which is kind of unfortunate. It's kind of unfortunate the Beatles went out with a turd. But yeah, this is a great album, and it's got some really great songs. The start of side 1 with Come Together, the fabulous John song, and then the ending with I Want You, She's So Heavy, the fantastic long John song. It's just great. The problem is with some of the songs in between those. I mean, Something is a great second song to follow, come together. But then you got Oh Darling and Octopus's Garden, which I just don't think those two songs are as good as the other three. Side 2, Here Comes the Sun, a great George song. Because I never liked that song back at the time, but I love it now, you know. It's just a great harmony. You Never Give Me Your Money. And then, we know, it just flows after that. And it's a fabulous album. And the way they ended it with Her Majesty at the end, if you have the box set, you see the original order, and that's kind of in the middle. And it's good that they changed that to the order in this. And then the song, The End, the guitars in that are just fantastic. Ringo has a little drum solo. I think it's like maybe 10 seconds long, which is about as long as a drum solo needs to be, you know. But yeah, great album. Number 2 is the album, I would say Abbey Road and this album had the most impact on me in the year of 1969. And this is Led Zeppelin 2. This is the first Led Zeppelin album that I ever heard. I didn't hear the first one when it came out. I heard this one at my cousin Guy's house. And then shortly thereafter, Whole Lotta Love came out as a single, and they were playing that on the radio. And they were playing the long version on the radio, at least here in Bakersfield on KAFY, K-A-F-Y. But yeah, this album, it is heavy. And it punches you, man. And it's just... Moby Dick, I love the song. They could have made it it's 4 minutes, 25 seconds. If it would have been like a 3-minute song, I think it would have been better, but whatever. It's still great. But other than that, man, this is a great album all the way through. And the way side 2 starts with Heartbreaker and it immediately goes into Livin' Lovin' Maid is just, man, it blew me away. But yeah, great album. I don't need to say much more. Led Zeppelin. But the number 1 album for me for 1969 is Miles Davis, In a Silent Way. The subtle interplay of all the instruments with that driving hi-hat. I mean, Tony Williams is fantastic on it. He's through basically almost 38 minutes of just playing a hi-hat. And I don't think that's very easy to do. I've never tried it, but I don't think that would be very easy to do. But the electric piano by Herbie Hancock, Chick Corea, and then you got Joseph Zawinul, or whatever his name is. The 3 keyboard players. They're the heart of this album. And I would even say that Joseph Zinwalu guy, or whatever his name, Zawinul, that's what I'll call him. You can really hear his influence on this album. In fact, I mean, Herbie Hancock went and formed the Headhunters. Chick Corea went on and formed the Return to Forever. And Joseph and Wayne Shorter, who is the soprano sax player on this, formed Weather Report. And this, you can hear Weather Report in this more than you can the Headhunters or Return to Forever. But anyways, it's just the keyboards and then John McLaughlin's guitar playing. It's I don't know, it's mind-blowing. The bass is pretty basic. But other than that, man, all the instruments are just great, you know. And you have that pianos and guitars and the constant hi-hat and bass playing. And then Miles comes in with some beautiful solos. And Wayne Shorter has 2 of his best solos ever on this album. And yeah, this is my number 1 album. And it was a changing point in Miles' career. And it was a changing point in jazz. I mean, the jazz fanatics didn't like this, and oh well. Great album, man. One of my favorites, Miles albums. But yeah, number one, 1969, In a Silent Way. That's it. Take care. I'm sorry for the delay. I have 1970 ready, so it will be one of my first videos of the new year. Take care, everybody. Merry Christmas and Happy New Year to everybody, if I don't see you.